So I do want to share with you before we start our thing that I just came to a final a book cover. We just finished my book cover. So I'm like riding this high, and I just bought ISBN numbers. So I'm like, oh, it's happening. Yes.
Yes.
So like 6 to 8 weeks that they're going to go on pre-order, and hopefully by the beginning of, January is my kind of launch date. So yeah, very good stuff.
Nice.
No doubt related to what's happening here, right? So.
Well, it is kind of funny that it suddenly took a flight in the last couple of days.
It's interesting. So yeah, so I had to share that with you up front.
Well, actually, that could have been part of it.
Yeah. It's felt different. I had that and like some, our session, our first 2 sessions with this, and then I actually was listening to a podcast that sent me about book, someone else writing a book and like coming back to your authentic voice, and like just really trusting that process of like it being a reflection of you and writing the book for that one person versus like trying to make everyone else happy in your life. And it so resonated with me that I was just like, yes, that's it. Like, I just have to get back to like and once I sat down with it to work on the book again, because I was obviously like saturated with this idea that the book is like so hurt by me not like holding it. I was like, oh my gosh, like it was like staying with me. I was like, okay, I have to like make amends and like, with the book. So I was sitting down with it, and I started to really let myself be in the kind of the timelessness of it, like the book is supposed to be like the timelessness of grief, and looking at the things from, and I'm like, I haven't been, let me share this, because it's all pertinent to what we've been doing. I wrote, allow the timelessness quality to come through. Every chapter can be different. The book is not linear, like grieving is not a linear process. There is no rush for anything. Writing the book that is most caring and compassionate to myself. So I'm writing the book for others that is the most caring and compassionate it can be for others, but I'm forgetting about the writer and in me, and the purpose behind the book is like, why would I be beating myself up about writing a book that that doesn't come through well. So it hasn't been serving me. So being more kind and compassionate to myself as I write the book has changed how I felt about sitting with my pages.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, and I think if you look at how the process went, the book basically went in the constellation basically went from something far away from you to something you hold, and to an ally and a friend.
Yes.
Instead of a burden that was sort of dragging behind you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So, and it was because I kind of feel so in constellations. What comes up a lot is that you process, right, the things of the past, the conditioning, not only the ancestral stuff, but also your conditioning of your life or traumas of your life. And that's what blocking you from moving forward. In the beginning, it was like in between you two, and the moment you started addressing her, the book immediately felt like I want to move out of the way, because I want this connection to happen.
Yeah.
And the moment that connection happened, and that it felt like, now I want to hold the book. So there was very obviously a reason a reason, or a reason behind the book not happening, but also a reason behind the book trying to help you see that. So that was pretty. I thought it was a very interesting constellation.
Yes. Yes. All of that. This is like,
So my always question: what are your three biggest insights or takeaways from this?
so, I mean, I feel like we captured so much of it so quickly, but just that, yeah, feels like, um, again, the piece with my mom was so huge, like just feeling like that. I, I think I forget because it's always, like bringing it into my conscious awareness and like living in those conversations that are always kind of what on that, what do you call it, in the field, to be in the field with her and confronting that and actually like having, um feeling the feelings that I have towards her and being able to kind of work through that. Like, I think it was really, it's like, I know that I have those, but I think I keep them, they're always kind of vibrating around me. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just, I guess that's how it works. But, so just to kind of bring that into my conscious awareness and feeling the sense of like, almost like dread and definitely uncomfortable and all of that stuff. And then after we worked through it, I felt very relieved. I felt very, yeah, it's interesting. Like, not even that I had this, it's weird to me, I guess, that I didn't have an actual conversation with my mom. I had a conversation in this field with her, with her, and how remarkably different I felt after that. I didn't need to have it with her per se, because I often feel like she can't handle it, or that it's like, and even when I get the courage to address something with her, I'm often felt like I leave it feeling still unfinished or incomplete. And so this gave me that opportunity to receive really what I needed to be able to move on, to be able to step into this new thing. So I had an interaction with my mom. Like, I mean, I think she was messaging me during the session, which was interesting. And then,
that happens always, almost.
Yeah.
if the parents are still alive and this happens, it's a given that they message during the session.
It's amazing. Yeah. And on my computer, so we were trying to figure out why she usually texts me and I get it on my phone. And for some reason, her laptop, it was going through on my laptop. Like, I was getting the iMessage, and I don't have it connected that way. I just don't usually use it. But I'm getting messages from her, right, on my laptop. So even more kind of in my sight. Yeah. And she was like, I really miss you. And can we have lunch this week? And she wanted to spend time, she was like wanting to spend time together. So, which is sweet and good. And we are tomorrow, but I feel a less of that side, like, feelings of resentment towards her, and so there's like more space to just be with her in the present. So that was huge. And then also I had my friend who lives a couple hours away. She reached out and she was like, I'm thinking of you like very strongly right now. Like, and so when I got off the call with you, she was like, there was a message from her. And I was like, you have no idea how like perfect that your timing is. Like, and I was like, I miss you too. And then later she was like, I'm curious why it was such perfect timing. And I told her, well, I can't really tell you details because you had said not to share too much about
within 24 hours.
Yeah. I haven't shared anything. I wasn't going to share anything right now, but that I would certainly let her know later how, just know that it's like meaningful that you reached out. And she was like, it was such a strong pull to like say hello to you. So, so that was pretty cool. Yeah. So I just had like a lot of these synchronistic things that have happened, I think, I don't know if I covered 3.
I don't know, but probably.
Probably, but yeah, it seems like it was a lot of, I'm trying to think specifically of that. After that day, if there was, I think, I mean, even the fact that sent me that podcast, I think was so timely. Like that, after that same like series, like my mom reached out and then sent me a message, and then he sent me this podcast of Rich Litvin, who I've done work with.
Yeah.
He's like the one who wrote that book that we used in HPC, and I haven't listened to his podcast in probably 2-3 years. Like it's been a while since I had any contact with him, or just like listening to any of his stuff. And it was so directly related to this book, like relationship, this woman with this book. And it was totally different kind of book that I'm writing. I mean, she's like, weird creative geniuses. And that was actually the title of the book.
Nice.
And so his coaching of her helped her to like write the book for a weird creative genius rather than someone who wants to be, like, a teaching them how to be. And she thought she was coming from that way. So it just like, that was kind of like another thing that was like a kind of a piece of what we were talking about. It's just like, this is like, just stay in who you are and like be who you are. You don't have to be someone else to write this book or fix something to write this book, just, and like change it. Like going back to our initial session of like, I'm not writing for people who are academics. I'm writing for the average person so I can help the average person.
Yes. Yeah.
So
exactly.
Yeah. So that felt, it's all kind of coming full
circle. Beautiful. Nice. I'm excited. I'm excited for your that you got that number for the book and ISBN.
Yes. So good. So my publisher's going to help me fill them out today. So we're going to, and then once they're registered ISBNs, we can pre-list the book. Like I'm getting super close to being able, which will set a timeline, which I think is healthy for me at this point of, and I, sitting with the book every day, letting it be my friend and, and, a couple months out, actually having it out in the world. So
and it felt from what you can see in the constellation, it felt really supportive towards you, and also very, very much like when we put in the group of people, there was no limitation. You didn't word any limitations towards them. You didn't word like, oh, I feel, because that could have happened, right? That's why I sort of tested it. Like, what are you gonna have? One of the things that I noticed is that we went through those limitations with your mother and presenting the book to your mother, and basically when we had the group there, none of what you worded at that moment was, I don't feel like presenting it, or I feel like I need to hold it and turn around, or you were facing it. You were facing it. You were showing the book. It was visible in your arms. You were turned to the people without wanting to shy away or any of it.
Yes.
So and what you see is very often the outside world, like that group of people, the outside world is very much a reflection of what we think we're going to receive from a parent. And then when we realize that, when we work through that part with a parent, the outside world is not at all as scary.
Wow, that's interesting. I'm just writing notes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do so.
So I have felt a little bit, it's interesting, just in this last hour, the hour before we met, speaking of the parents. So this piece of, so I was sharing with my brother and which they're kind of like, I have a group text with them, and we, share updates like with our lives throughout the week, and I was telling them about the book cover, and then I was thinking like they're the first to see, and then I'm like, do I send it to my mom? Like that feels like, it's like I will, but there's also like that little nervousness of like that I know she's going to be like, oh, yeah, this is wonderful. She's not going to say anything bad. It's just that like pit of feeling of like I want her to get behind it with me, and be part of it. In whatever way she can, whatever capacity she can. I think that was like the letting it be to me, like that she doesn't have to be, it would be weird if she was like as like excited or whatever that as I am, so I just want her to be proud, and supportive. So yeah, so that definitely like was a thought that I had like a half hour ago or so. I was like thinking about like, oh, that's interesting. Like, it's like, but I'm not as attached to it. I don't feel like I'm as attached to like her response as, I mean, there's always that sense of like, will I feel disappointed? But I think if I'm not like so attached to like it being a certain way, that I just am trusting that it's enough that she's got my back, right? Literally like in the field, like she's there and like she cares.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
She, in the end, she supported you. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very curious how the next time you talk to her, how that's going to be.
Yeah.
Because even though we kind of talk like to the energy of a person, and that's why, of course, she sends you messages during the session. We talk to the energy of the person. We talk. It kind of depends on how you want to call it. Some people say you talk to the soul. You talk soul to soul, and some people say you talk to the energy, to the vibration or the frequency a person has. And since your frequency, you kind of have like this somewhere where those frequencies or those vibrations or those auras or whatever you call them, somewhere where you meet in the middle, right? And since your vibration is changing, their vibration is changing. So that's very often people can feel that connection changing, and that's why they start sending messages. People can feel that something's shifting in you, and then they suddenly have this urge to message you or to call you the next day or things like that. So yeah, it is pretty.
That's remarkable. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it is. So this is usually where I share a little bit of insight about next things, if you allow me.
Okay.
Because whenever you finish a constellation, the next layer shows up, sort of. That's how I can feel that the subject that we brought in the field is finished, and because new subjects open, kind of. And what I noticed in the process at the end of it is, so there's a difference I feel between um, between forgiving your mom and reconnecting with her. So there's a phenomenon called interrupted reaching out movement that children have. Every child has it. So what I saw coming up in the field for you is that even though there is a part of you that forgave your mom, there is still a disconnect from your mom. There's no that disconnect happened when she disappointed you in some way. Now that can happen very, very young, or and even without her realizing it, even without you realizing it. And I'll give you an example from myself. I had the interrupted reaching out movement. So let me explain the interrupted reaching out movement first. Interrupted reaching out movement. The reaching out movement is when basically a child, and doesn't matter how old the child is, can be our age, it can be very young, reaches out and literally with their hands reaches out to their parents, and their
Mm-hmm.
parents doesn't respond to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, uh, there's a lot of in the generations before us, for example, said you need to let children cry in their beds until they stop crying.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite a well interrupted reaching out movement, for example.
Mm-hmm.
In my case, it can be because parents choose to let a baby cry, but it can also be different. In my case, my mother, when I was 6 weeks old, had to go to the hospital for an appendicitis, and she had surgery, and I was basically after when she came back after that, I didn't want to breastfeed anymore.
Okay.
So what happens when the child has that interrupted reaching out movement, and so I was 6 weeks old, and it can happen anywhere in life, although usually it happens in childhood.
Mm-hmm.
It's when a parent kind of disappoints willingly, unwillingly, unknowingly, in any way, shape, or form. So it doesn't give the child the safety that it needs. And then the child will say something like, okay, I cannot count on you at this moment, so I'm going to do this myself.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically disconnect from the parent. Um, what what you saw, what the things that you mentioned while we were working, right? While we were in the constellations field, one of the things you said is, I forgave her, and yet uh, there is that interrupted reaching out movement, and it did show up. So mostly in the um, in the wanting to move towards your mom, but holding back at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same thing as what you just told me, right? I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, do I send her this
Yeah.
or do I hold it back?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's still that little piece of I yes, I forgave her. I understand her circumstances and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that she didn't see the things that she was supposed to see, but I still do not trust her fully, and so I keep my disconnect
Right.
with her. So, for if you translate that, I think your healing work from here forward
Mm-hmm.
is in the reconnection with your mom.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's many ways that you can do that, right? But so it's not like that's per se a constellation thing. Of course, there is a constellation way for that, but there's many other ways that you can heal that and reconnect that, uh, and create that bond. Um, why? Well, basically um, because when you reconnect and you accept your parent fully the way they are, you accept that 50% of yourself the way it is. Because we are 50% our father and we are 50% our mother in in
Okay.
in physically and in our DNA and in everything. So the moment you accept that 50% fully the way it is
Mm-hmm.
and the way it was, the more you can accept yourself fully the way you are.
Interesting. Okay. That makes a lot of sense to me. Okay.
So that's what I still saw popping up. It's not a soul path thing, by the way. I think
Yeah.
for the path that you are now taking in the book, because the book represented, of course, the soul path, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the first step on it. So also keep that in mind. The book is not only a book. The book is you walking the path of your soul and the purpose you are here to fulfill. And so we took the book as a symbol of that very first step. And so looking at how that's how the constellation worked out. That path is now clear. There's nothing in there. There's nothing in there except for the normal human nervousness and
Yeah.
excitement combinations, sort of.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
There wasn't anything blocking, because otherwise that would have shown up. Somebody of that group would have stepped in between, or there would have been symbolism around having another blockage,
Mm-hmm.
and there wasn't. So
Got
this is purely self-development
it.
that
Okay.
you could choose to work on, but nothing to do with that, with with the soul and the path.
Okay.
Um, that's clear, at least for this first set.
Okay. Oof. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. It's like all kind of really just rattling around in my head. I have to sit with it, so yeah, so I guess so you recommend that as a follow-up kind of
Yeah,
aspect that I can do, but it's ancillary, separate from the soul's path work. It's really more of my own personal development if I want to accept myself more, and I need to
yeah,
accept my mom through this. I mean, like I can think of a dozen, what did you call them? Interrupted reaching out moments in my life, you know.
yeah.
Um, and probably, the pattern has repeated because that not only is that what I expect, but it's something that, yeah, I mean, from the early cry it out, she's very clear that I was a baby through that time period. And my dad was very firm on this is what we're going to do, to, other phases of my life, all the way through losing, that I had moments like that with her. So how do I do, if I were to do it through Constellate, would I like book another session with you? Like, how would I do that kind of thing?
So first, I think personally, this is my recommendation,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to feel into how it resonates. Personally, I think you should do the book stuff first.
Okay. Like, don't get involved in that until after. Yeah. Okay. That's probably
Yes,
a good call. Yeah.
and you know why? Because the dynamics between you and your mom kind of prevented you from taking those steps. Now it's open,
Mm-hmm.
and just I would say run for it, run that path. Make sure you do that, do
Okay.
that
Yeah.
first.
Okay.
And because and part of that path will heal, that will reconnect
Sure.
already. And so I would say do that, and
Mm-hmm.
then once that book is published, then sort of start feeling into how much of this work do I still want to do, how much of the work with my mom do I want to do, and feel into it then.
Okay.
Don't in a month or two, three, see what's still left.
Okay.
See what's left.
Okay.
Because what could so of course when you heal, there's also these moments that you have to go through something to heal something else on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And what you kind of want to prevent is that your healing journey, that particular healing journey that has nothing to do with your book, starts getting in the way and starts creating new obstacles.
Sure.
So now that the path is clear, walk the path, walk the path first,
Okay.
without the healing part, and without the and you will notice there's anyway a lot of healing, because publishing that book, publishing something personal like that,
Mm-hmm.
and 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 being sort of standing, having a stance for it, will heal already part of it. But I just wanted you to be aware that it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because now that you are aware of that, you kind of, when you walk the path, you will notice the healing that you do on that other side.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay, cool. Yeah, great.
So yeah,
Thank you for
but yeah,
all of it. I'm so grateful.